What's up, players? Welcome to episode number 60 of Ready Press Play, your weekly source for everything that's new and exciting in the world of video games. Every Friday at 6 a.m. Pacific or 9 a.m. Eastern Time, we discuss the top news of the week, notable releases on our platforms while we're playing, big topics of the industry, and the games we love. If you want to write anything to be read on the show, go to ReadyPlayNetwork.com or hit us up at Ready Press Play on Twitter and TikTok, or leave a comment below if you're watching this on YouTube. Since we're now going to be available on Level 1 Gaming's YouTube channel every Saturday morning. No matter where you found us, please subscribe to the feed so you can get every new show directly to your device as soon as it posts. And if you like it, please leave us a nice review. This is March 5th, 2021. I'm your host, Daniel Lima, and I'm joined as always by my wonderful co-host, Mr. Louis Menchaca.
Dan, I'm just going to get out right in front of this and say that we have a good chemistry going on, and that's all I got. I can't really just defend it. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, so we're now going to be doing Ready Press Play on YouTube for the first time. So for those that have been listening, you're now able to see our faces if you'd like as we do this. We're going to continue to record on Thursday nights as we typically do. That is just what works best for our schedule. Dropping on podcast feeds on Friday morning. So you got that nice polished up audio podcast on our podcast feeds coming available on your Friday morning with the most up-to-date news of the week. But if you'd like to see our faces and you'd like to watch and maybe get a little bit of some extra content here and there, I don't know, maybe we're going to be bringing in, maybe do a little show and tell every once in a while or something now that we can do video, then you can head on over to the Level 1 Gaming YouTube channel. Obviously, Level 1 Gaming, the website ran by our good friend David Whitaker. Fame Entertainment is his, handle, username, nickname,
Yeah.
has given us this opportunity, this space for us to show our faces and do our podcast in a video format. We'll see how that changes the dynamic, if it does anything or not. But hopefully, things are going to continue to go smoothly.
Yeah,
How do
hopefully.
you feel about the whole thing, Lewis?
Honestly, it's gonna be basically like Ready Press Play Live, RPP Live, but
Mm-hmm.
without the live chat. So hopefully we can get used to being on camera. And it's really interesting how we have like a good anywhere between like 30 to 50 listeners that are listening every week. And now they can finally put a face to the voice and stuff like that. Hopefully we live up to the hype.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
I listened to Game Explain. Like Game Explain used to be a YouTube channel where all of their creators were just voices only. And so when they finally went on camera for the first time, I'm like, you
Hmm.
are not what I imagined at all.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
And you don't only get or typical looks now, but you also get our quarantine looks in a way. So as you can tell, like I haven't shaved in a while. I haven't gotten a haircut in a while too. I'm actually kind of considering growing my hair again now. I don't know if you I don't know if you know about this, Louis, actually, but I used to rock a really long hair for
I
a few
remember that.
years.
I remember that.
Um, I don't remember if that was the case when I met you or not,
It
but
was.
or online meet you anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's do some quick housekeeping here to get us started. I already talked about us being available on YouTube and everything every Saturday on Level 1 Gaming. Lewis also writes for Level 1 Gaming. He's one of the frequent collaborators of the site. Last week, in fact, for the people that listen to the show, we had the floor hugger. Is that her full
Yes.
username? I believe. Yeah.
Yes.
Um, was was available to show up and take my spot since I had a lot of stuff going on. I've been moving and everything, and I wasn't able to do the podcast. And you guys killed it. It was such a good time listening to that episode. Really good, different dynamic, and that's something that's cool that we get when we bring different people into the show, is that we can see a little bit of a different style of how Ready Press Play can be done.
Yeah, I want to listen to the Ready Press Play when you do it with someone else and see how that goes out. That was actually what I was saying when I said Dan. I was gonna say that the reason I didn't notice it until the edit, but I kept name dropping you like 10 different times and stuff like that, and I was
Yes,
like, huh,
yes.
I didn't realize I
I
was doing
messaged
that.
Louis after I messaged Louis after the episode. I was like, "You must love me, dude," because like, yeah, I've heard my own name while listening to this. Like it was like every segment, he would be like, he would give his take and then go, if Dan was here, he would say this, or Dan typically brings up this part or whatever. So I was thinking, maybe I would have to come up on this episode and have to share my takes about the news that happened last week, but I don't even have to do that because you already did it for me, basically.
Yeah.
um, the one thing I'm going to bring up is that when one of the name drops, you kind of name dropped something that I threw on Twitter, and I felt like it was kind of taken out of context a little bit. So I just felt like I had to explain myself. But I just kind of threw in this tweet a week ago. I said, "Are gamers entitled?" Question mark. And I didn't mean anything when I said that. It wasn't supposed to be like targeted at anybody or any particular situation. It was just something that was crossing through my mind, and I was like talking to a friend about some situations that he was going through in regards to gamers and etc. And I was just kind of wondering, and I wanted to see what people would have to say about it if I asked that question.
Hmm.
Do you think? But it wasn't targeted at Anthem or anything like that. Lewis, do you think gamers are entitled?
See, I'm not sure. Like, it really depends on what they're talking about, what they're entitled to. I feel like they're pretty much, I would say, as a fair point, they're probably entitled to what was promised in marketing materials, and if they don't deliver on that, then
Hmm.
that's on the developers and publishers for setting incorrect expectations. But I don't know, like there is definitely like a line that people cross all the time when they take entitlement too far, and people gotta, be put on blast or whatever, because you see these stories on Reddit and stuff like that about like r/entitled people and stuff. But I don't know.
Hmm.
That's neither here nor there. But I don't really have much of an answer to that question, simply because whenever you said it, like when you asked that question, all I could think of is like, yeah, maybe, and then I just kept it moving.
Yeah, I feel like it's like maybe like an interesting thing to talk about, and obviously it's a huge generalization, right? I mean, gamers, like, what does that even mean? There's all types of gamers out there. There's all types of people out there that play games. I just think it's an interesting concept because and I think it came up because recently we've had a lot of things coming out. We had the Nintendo Direct and the State of Play and the Pokemon Presents and etc. We got all these different stories, and then we also get to see the reaction that people have. And I feel like it's very common on gaming circles, this idea that sometimes it feels like it's never enough, right? Like it's like, we wanted more, we wanted this. And I'm including myself in that group. I used to feel that way a lot, back in the day. And I feel like nowadays I kind of just gotten tired of it enough, like tired of the hype cycle, I guess, enough
Hmm.
to the point where I just kind of sit back, relax, and whatever I'm given, I'm like, cool. I don't find myself getting to extreme levels of hype and excitement anymore as I used to. But in I guess the other side of it, that's more of the positive side, is that like I also don't get to find that disappointment. As every new thing that comes out, I'm disappointed about what it could have been, right?
Hmm. Uh, I don't know. It's just I feel
It's a
like
conversation for another time,
this
perhaps.
probably is a conversation. I would need to research some that I don't want to come just pulling stuff out of my ass and stuff when it comes to this kind of discussion. But I did want to say one
Yeah.
last thing about this. I know we mentioned already about the you know sort of becoming affiliated and aligning ourselves with Level One Gaming. I just wanted to say that I brokered the deal, and I was playing real hardball with the contract negotiations. Like the what I got for us makes Joe Rogan's Spotify deal look like he was getting gypped. All right, so
Oh yeah,
just throwing that out
absolutely,
there.
100%, 100%. Well, this is the podcast to listen to, fellas. Um,
Yeah,
and I hope something we should take into account too is that there's probably a lot of people that are listening to this for the first time today. So I
that's
wonder
true.
what they're thinking already.
That's true.
You
That's
know, I
true.
I, I just started potentially calling them entitled. I'm not talking to you, viewer or listener. It was
uh,
just an idea, just a concept, a conversation over a concept. Lewis, let's get this show started. Today is the first week of March. It is our first show of the month of March, which means that it's time for our Temple of Time.
all
If
right.
you want to hear the awkward pauses edited out, I would recommend checking out the podcast on podcast feeds because we actually have ways to deal with that. And now, if you watch it, that's an interesting thing, is that if you're watching the YouTube video, you're actually going to see what things actually sound like when we're recording them live. Or sometimes there's these, little gaps and pauses that we get to cut out when we're editing the audio.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Well,
the Temple of Time is a segment here in Ready Press Play where once a month, we in the beginning of the month typically we get to look back at games that are turning flagship anniversaries that month. And when I say flagship anniversaries, usually that means 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years, occasionally 30, 35, 40 years, for some older games. So let's start going back 5 years ago, March of 2016. Let's see what was coming out in March of 2016 that's now turning 5 years in this month of March, Lewis. Let's see here. We got Far Cry Primal. is already 5 years old. That's crazy. I feel like that game just came out. Gears of War Ultimate Edition, The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD, Tom Clancy's The Division, Tesla Grad, Mario and Sonic at the Rio 2016 Olympics, Pokémon Tournament, Day at the Tentacle Remastered, Trackmania Turbo, Hyrule Warrior Legends, Adrift, Lucky Stale, MLB The Show 16, obviously, that would be every year, and Hyper Light Drifter. So, Lewis, are any of those games things that you're impressed about turning 5 and that you look back on and fondly in any kind of way?
So I did play The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD back when it first dropped, and that was my first experience with playing the game, other than like the maybe like the GameCube version. But I actually did see it through and beat the game to completion, and I think it was one of the last purchases I did at GameStop because
Mhm.
I discovered that Best Buy was doing the Gamers Club Unlocked thing, so I ended up buying that and just getting it for the pre-order bonus of having it come with like the digital CD. So, or like no,
Mhm.
not the digital CD, a physical CD, which I think I still have somewhere. Like I think it might even
Didn't it
be
also
sealed.
include like a Wolf Link amiibo? I know
Yeah.
that amiibo was only included as part of that package, I think.
Yes, I do. I do have that Wolf Link amiibo, and it was really awesome. The cave trial was awesome, and Breath of the Wild integration was awesome too, as well. It's probably might be like the number one best amiibo integration in the game, like straight up, by far.
You know
Um,
what? I'm gonna jump around the show a little bit here because since we're talking about Twilight Princess, and I'm gonna bring up something I was gonna talk about later. But yesterday, I've been playing a lot of games on my Series X recently, and I just moved, so I don't have all my consoles set up and stuff. But I did have the Series X set up, but I was having some internet issues, and I couldn't play anything on the Series X when I wanted to go play a game. you know, 2021 problems. If your internet doesn't work, you can't really play anything anymore in your new next gen consoles because everything requires to check a license or whatever. I own so much; everything is digital anyway. To most of what I own, so my internet wasn't working. I couldn't play the Series X. So I was like, you know what? I kind of feel like playing a Wii or Wii U game right now for some odd reason. So I pulled up my Wii U, I turned it on, I set it up, and I actually never bought the HD release of Twilight Princess, but I had the original Wii Twilight Princess, and I said, you know what? I kind of want to check out Twilight Princess on the Wii for some odd reason. I just felt like it, so I put it back on the Wii U. I went into the Wii menu inside the Wii U to be able to turn on the game and start it, and I went and I started a new save, and then the first cutscene starts. You can hear the music, and then the screen turns black, and a message in white text comes on screen and says, "Unable to read this disc. There's a problem with
wow.
it. It doesn't
Oh,
work." So I had to get the disc out. I did the old trick of like trying to wipe it with my shirt and stuff, put it back in, and still same thing happened again. So the truth is, I found out yesterday, Lewis, that my Twilight Princess disc for the Wii no longer works,
oh, what a travesty, man.
which is unfortunate.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
uh, going back to the subject here, I've played quite a bit of the Trackmania games. Actually, I can tell them apart because there's a bunch of like different ones, I believe. But it's just this PC racing games where people get to like make these. I think you can play it on console as well. I just always played it on PC. And they're very like arcadey. And the coolest thing about that game is that you get to create your own tracks, and people go crazy with the tracks that they create, and it's just a lot of fun. So I think that was one of the latest additions that I think made a splash that came out, and that was 5 years ago. Obviously, a lot of these games are somewhat, franchises that we see a lot too. Pokken Tournament, I never really had a chance to play that, but seemed cool. Um, and yeah, the Twilight Princess HD release, that's one of the last very few Wii U games that hasn't made its way to the Switch yet.
Well, rumor has it
I
that
wonder
that
if
one and Wind Waker HD are going to come to, as a bundle or something like that. Which is honestly like I feel like the Triforce thing, like there we go, yeah. Like I've seen the Triforce thing where like I retweeted it out where it's like the three games in a Triforce thing. Oh, that's like a missed opportunity. How are you going to do a Triforce now? Like as your logo, but whatever.
I don't know. Well, I would say that Ocarina of Time maybe could be included, but then if you do that, then you kind of got to do Majora's Mask as well. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Just one last thing
10 years
though.
aw in March 2011.
One last thing that I just
Yes.
want to say is Adrift. I feel like Adrift was a game that just never came out, and then suddenly it did. I don't know why, but is it? I think it was one of those anticipated games and stuff that I remember like seeing at E3s a lot or whatever. So
I know.
It's hard.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that that game came out because I might even own that game on Steam or something, and I never played it. But you're right. It was like I remember seeing the trailers for it, and then I guess it came out 5 years ago. But
Yeah.
okay then. Okay.
All
Well,
right.
10 years ago on March 2011, we saw the release of Pixel Junk Shooter 2, Rift, Warhammer 40,000 Dawn of War 2, Retribution, Pokemon Black and White, Dragon Age 2, MLB 2K11. I'm not going to read all the sports games. There's too many of them. Homefront, Yakuza 4, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Crysis 2, Lego Star Wars 3, The Clone Wars, PlayStation Move Heroes. We had the launch of the Nintendo 3DS. Really? Is that right?
Yep.
Is that 10 years ago? Why
Yep.
am I not reading more about that?
March of
Um,
2011. That's we got like Nintendogs. Wait,
yeah, that's right.
an amazing 3DS lineup. Like, oh my God, how could you forget about Nintendogs plus Cats and Pilot Wings 3D, and Steel Diver? You know, like, oh my God. I just want to say, Street Fighter 4 on the 3DS was trash. I'm just gonna put that out there. I think even the iOS version of Street Fighter 4 might have been better. But yeah, that's like the Super Monkey Ball 3D, the Sims 3D. That was all the 3DS lineup. And then also, just separate side note, Tiger Woods PGA Tour because that's when Tiger Woods was relevant back in the day. But how dare you? How dare you overlook Angry Birds Rio? Okay, that Angry Birds was
Well, I
a
just
phenomenon.
that's true. That's true. That just seemed too specific. I didn't feel like it was worth the shout out to me. And I can say that because I'm Brazilian, by the way. Just saying, it's not because it's Rio. It's just because okay, another Angry Bird spinoff. We had how many of those? Um, if we go back even further, on March 2006, that still feels very recent to me. I remember that pretty well. I was finishing middle school, I think.
Just want to
That
say
was
that
games that are turning 15 years.
in March of 2006, we're in that in between state because the 360 was out, but the PS2 was still relevant.
Mhm.
So take it away.
Mm. All right. We got Dragon Ball Z Shin Budokai on the PSP, Onimusha Dawn of Dreams, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter, Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence, Siphon Filter Dark Mirror on the PSP, 24 The Game, Metroid Prime Hunters, The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, Suikoden 5, Beautiful Joe, Red Hot Rumble, Worms Open Warfare, Dynasty Warriors 5, The Godfather the Game, and Kingdom Hearts 2.
Nice. Kingdom Hearts 2
Damn.
on the PlayStation 2. Also, at the same time, Elder Scrolls Oblivion was basically a timed exclusive because the PS3 wasn't out yet. So, just saying that it's a really weird in between time between the two console generations. And then on top of that, I actually did play Dragon Ball Z Shin Budokai on my PSP. Not Shin Budokai, the one that came out in March '06, but there was a sequel that came out in '07 called Shin Budokai Another World, and that's the one that I played
Yeah, I
to
hear that those
death.
Budokai games were actually good.
Yeah, yeah, they were.
Mhm.
So definitely, I should probably go back and collect them. I don't think I have any of the Budokai PS2 games in my collection, but I did play and beat the PSP version, like all the entire story campaign, and unlocked everything, and got really good at the game and stuff. So, but yeah, it's an interesting lineup here. Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence was a re-release of Metal Gear Solid 3 with like extra content and stuff built in, which I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it or not because I think the vanilla version is fine, but whatever.
It's kind of interesting that we had Oblivion come out in 2006, which I actually thought that game was older. I remember that game as if it was older. And then we had Skyrim in 2011, so 5 years apart. And then it's now been 10 years since Skyrim. We're going to be bringing up when we get to the month where it actually came out. I think it was, October or something. And we still have not seen anything from Elder Scrolls 6. So those fans waited 5 years initially from 4 to 5, and then since 5, it's been 10 years, and we have nothing but a logo, and this promise of that's upcoming in the future, but that's not even the near future as far as we know. That might be another 5 years off.
Well, to be fair, Skyrim is still selling, right? I mean, you keep porting it
That's
to the
true. That's true.
PS5 and the Series X and the Switch and everything. Yeah, so it's kind of like the GTA
With
5
games like
thing.
that, it's also yeah, exactly. It's also similar to GTA 5. After you get so big and you've gone so far, how can you top that, right? Like I feel like it must be so much work to be able to top that, and especially with next generation graphics and everything's so much more expensive to make now. Well, not necessarily, but the I guess the resources that are needed to make AAA games nowadays is so much more than it used to be. So I guess those games, GTA 6 and Elder Scrolls 6, are probably such daunting projects for these studios to look at, right?
Yeah. I just want to say there better not Elder Scrolls 6 better not come out. They better remove all features, completely remove every feature, okay? Because we don't use the word bug anymore. Isn't that the one? Isn't that the game where it's like it's not a bug,
That's
it's a
true.
feature?
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
So
absolutely, Lewis. Going back further here, 20 years ago in March 2001, we had the release of the Game Boy Advance, Lego Island 2, Brickster's Revenge, Conker's Bad Fur Day, The Bouncer, Sonic Shuffle, Star Wars Episode 1, Battle for Naboo, Onimusha Warlords, Serious Sam, The First Encounter, The Simpsons, Night of the Living Treehouse of Horror, Zone of the Enders, and Pokemon Stadium 2. So, Lewis, March of 2001, you were what, 20 already? I don't know.
very fun. I think I was 13 at the time, and
Mhm.
I played Conker's Bad Fur Day on the Nintendo 64 like to death at my cousin's house. My cousin had an N64. What they ended up doing was they rented it from Blockbuster, and they never returned it. They kept on like paying the late fee or whatever and stuff like that. It was ridiculous. So yeah, we ended up having that game for like a really long time until we finally did return it. Pokemon Stadium 2. I don't think I actually got it or played it back in the day. I think I played it after the fact. I really liked the first Pokemon Stadium, so I think I only got the second one just as a collector, just to collect it in my collection and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I just wanted to say the Star Wars game is that I just wanted to shout that one out because that was a Factor 5 developed joint and stuff, and it was coming out on PC of all things. So yeah,
Yeah.
as we get like further and further and back in time, it just the number of releases like dwindles to like almost nothing. So
hmm
yeah,
Yeah,
we'll see.
2001. This would have been the time frame for me where I was playing nothing but PC games, I think. I was playing things like SimCity and Roller Coaster Tycoon, if that was out already, and Civilization, and I was very much that PC nerd. I was also 7. um All right, let's look at the games that are turning 25 years this month from March 1996. We got Super Mario RPG, a classic, a very beloved video game that I've never played, but that fans have been clamoring for a true return to form there. Kirby Superstar, Resident Evil, the original on the PlayStation 1, Panzer Dragoon 2's Way, and that's it.
Yeah, without Panzer
So, Louis,
Dragoon,
anything you want to shout out?
Panzer Dragoon, we I didn't get until May, but I just put it here on the dock just because it came out in Japan, and so I wasn't gonna remember to put that in May. But no, yeah, you're right. Only really three releases, like of all like video games. Like I looked at the calendar, just three games, but all three of them are pretty much bangers. I mean, that's pretty awesome that the quality is up there. Obviously Super Mario RPG is very beloved and stuff. Still have yet to play it, but I own it like three different times. I own it on like the super. I own it on the Super Nintendo Mini, but I still haven't played it.
hmm
And also, Kirby Superstar is also on the Super on the SNES Mini as well, and that's like a bundle of like 8 different games, if I'm not mistaken. And I remember watching Resident Evil 1, like when I would go to my cousin's house, he would play it, and I would just basically like be on the couch, kind of like watching like backseat driving kind of stuff, and being very anxious and scared. And those loading screens where like the door, it's in like the first person, and the door is like slowly opening, very like with that creaking noise and stuff like that. It's a good way to masking loading screens and stuff, but it really did set the mood and the tone, like just to like send a shiver down your spine. But yeah, the that and also the just want to say
Definitely,
the
definitely.
the PS1 game when it first originally launched, you gotta like they re-released it as a director's cut later on. Like I don't know if the next year or later that year, but the director's cut had like the analog stick controls because back then at the time only like the DualShock One wasn't a thing. It was just the D-pad. So
Oh, I
made it
remember that.
tank controls make it scarier.
hmm Yeah, definitely. And going back further here to wrap up our segment, 30 years ago in March of 1991, we had. Is this for reals? Is this for you wrote AOL here?
Yes.
AOL, SSI, TSR,
Yep.
and
That's
Stormfront Studios collaborate. I see it now. AOL, SSI, TSR, and Stormfront Studios collaborate and launch Neverwinter Nights for the Microsoft DOS, credited as the first graphical MMORPG. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Damn, an MMORPG in 1991.
On DOS. I mean, that, DOS is pretty
That's
basic and
crazy.
stuff. But yeah, as you can see on the dock right over there, I tried pulling up March of 1986 all the way to March of 1976 and literally drew nothing. Like, it's like,
Hmm.
wow. It's kind of crazy that there would be months in between releases of games and stuff back in those days. Nothing going on in the arcades even back then. So I tried to do as much digging and stuff, and I couldn't find anything. So yeah, gaming it's such a like young industry, even to this day. It's even within my lifetime kind of thing. Like where
Yeah.
as you get to the dawn of gaming, there's almost nothing going on.
Yeah,
So
it's interesting. I think about that sometimes too, because like it feels like, it already feels like there's such a rich history for video games just in the last, 40 years when you look at how far we've come and the fact that we've gone from, you pan on arcades all the way up to, Red Dead Redemption 2 and GTA 5 and stuff nowadays. And the fact that all of that happened in this time frame that feels like a lot of time for us, which is
our
around 40
lifetimes,
years.
yeah.
um, but it's really small when you think in the grand scheme of things, right? Like when we think back to music from the 18th century, a difference of 40 years between an artist to another, we think of them almost as contemporaries to each other. We don't even think about it as like we wouldn't even know, right? We would just think of them like, oh, like they're artists from the same era, right? Like if you look back at like painting, at theater, at anything else that's been around for hundreds of years, thousands of years, then everything just feels like it's the same era, and we look at things in chunks of a lot more time. So it's interesting to think that maybe 100 years from now, a game like Super Mario Brothers and a game like The Last of Us might both be looked at as the same era of gaming. This was the dawn of video gaming. Really, playing games has existed for a really long time, but as far as video games go,
That's
digital
interesting.
video games, right?
That's interesting. And it's like it's kind
Yeah.
of funny how like whenever we do like the every 5 year increments, it's like every single time we hit a 5 year mark, we're talking about a different generation, different hardware every time, and it's so weird. It's so weird to think of it think of it
Hmm.
that way and stuff like that. Like so like the hardware is not like different things are relevant, different things are or the capabilities are completely changed and different every time. So yeah, kudos to a bunch of these franchises and stuff like that. Like these, like a lot of the Nintendo franchises. Obviously, Nintendo takes very good care to shepherd their franchises and stuff like that. That they remain relevant from the dawn of gaming to this day. So yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. All right, let's move on to our next segment. The games we're playing. So, quick segment here that we always talk about whatever we're playing every week of Ready Press Play. I already kind of talked a little bit about this before, so I'm just going to wrap up my point. So, after I dug my Wii U and I set it up and I tried to play Twilight Princess and it didn't work, I said, okay, well, what do I do now? So I decided to just kind of jump around my Wii menu a little bit. I transitioned when the Wii U came out. I transitioned all my data from my Wii to my Wii U. So I had stuff there that had been downloaded many years ago, and I thought it was interesting to look at. Like, I had this game called Fluidity, and I had this random snowboarding game we call it Snowboard Riot, and some other things, and the original Pac-Man. And then I wondered, I know that the eShop, the Wii shop specifically, has been deactivated. We've even covered that in the podcast, I believe. And I was like, I wonder if I can still go in there though and download things that I had downloaded in the past that I don't have downloaded right now. So I opened the Wii shop, and sure thing, I was able to look at like my download list of games that I've purchased or downloaded before and then download them. So I downloaded in March 3rd, 2021, I downloaded a demo for World of Goo on my Wii, which is now inside my Wii U, right? The Wii menu inside the Wii U with the data that I transferred from my Wii. And I was able to do that, get it downloaded from the Wii shop, and then I played and beat the demo for World
What
of
the
Goo
hell?
on the Wii. So I just wanted to give a shout out to that little experiment of mine that was done in the middle of March of 2021 for no reason. Um, but Word of Goo good game, and it was a game that was originally released as a WiiWare title. I think it was one of the first like cool like indie hits on WiiWare.
I
And yeah, and I got to play it like I did back then.
I honestly thought that the Wii servers were shut down, so you couldn't re-download anything that you got in the past. So that's really weird.
Nope.
And the second thing is that
Yep.
World of Goo got ported to the Switch, by the way. So, but that's
I'm pretty sure it's on everything now.
yeah, fair enough. But yeah, so for me, what I was playing was I was playing some more Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, and I gotta say, I'm actually kind of getting the hang of things. Like I actually tried the actual main campaign, the actual Super Mario 3D World and stuff. Controls are tight, visuals looks cool, just as good as I remembered, and I just got to say that all you got to do is just beat the first level. That's all you got to do, and once you do that, everything's open up to you within the game, like within your save profile. You can create an online lobby or a local Bluetooth lobby for your friends, and it's pretty seamless. It's pretty easy. I watched a video review talking about the latency, and they said it's actually not half bad. It's a little stuttery, but it usually like the longer you play it, like the more settled it gets and stuff. And as far as
Hmm.
more Bowser's Fury, they really do this thing where like they don't give you everything all at once. So like it's the game is centered around backtracking because you're like in the sandbox, and so like when you first start off playing, you can only get two like cat sprites altogether, and so like you do the one that's just already like fully completed. You just go and pick it up just for free, like, and that's it. And then there's five little tidbits that form and merge together to become the cat sprite or the cat shine or whatever you call it. And so what they ended up doing was I thought it was just two cat shines per island, and so I mean they're like trying to steamroll through them, and then I just decided just for shits and giggles I'm gonna backtrack, and then while backtracking they end up revealing even more cat shines that were previously inaccessible. So like the game world was like changing and morphing to like open up more and more, and
Interesting.
they're putting out more courses for you within the same islands, more obstacle courses, like more challenges. And even when I collected more stuff, I can actually tell. Like I realized that each island has five of them, but I only can get three right now. So it's awesome. They're really just sort of like making each island count, and like they're not really like wasting space, so to speak.
So how exactly does that work? Like, do you get to see where things are gonna be? Does it do the Metroidvania thing where it's like, oh, I'm gonna be able to go there eventually, but I can't right now until it unlocks later? Or is it more like, cutscene plays and then something comes out of the ground that wasn't there before?
I think it's like a little bit of both. Like I don't know. I have no idea how they did it, but
Mhm.
there were suddenly signposts showed up in the island that were not there before. Um, there was like a switch,
Cool.
like a blue coin switch. So you hit it, and you got to collect the blue coins within a certain time frame or before time runs out, and then that way you then oh, there we go. Ah, good save. So that way, once you get those blue coins, you automatically get the cat shine sprite. So
Hmm.
yeah.
So they're
So
basically just kind of enabling and disabling things that were already there, and it opens up more and more the more you play it.
yep,
Cool.
yep.
All right. Yeah. Well, I look forward to hearing about it when you finished it and you 100% it and gotten everything there was for you to get there. Because I think you put that in your list in your backlog list for this year as one of the games that you wanted to make sure to actually complete. Right.
Yeah. So the uh, the caveat is that it's just Bowser's Fury. That's basically how I'm treating it as its own campaign.
All right. Sounds good. Louis, is my video still showing up in there? Because I had some Discord issues while you were just talking.
Yeah. No. No. It's just your still profile picture that's showing up here.
Oh, okay. So no video.
No video.
What
There you
about
go.
now?
Hey, you're coming up. You're
All right,
refreshing
cool.
there. All right.
Yeah, I think I got disconnected for a few seconds and then I came back in. So that's the kind of things that you get to see, guys, if you're watching on video.
Yeah, your
The
audio
little
people get
technical issues. We
all
are
the audio
also
people
dealing with a
get
very
cutting out.
strong delay.
Yeah, I know, right? Uh,
All right, Liz, let's move on.
all right.
It's time for our topic of the show. So, Louis, we just talked about a lot of different games and a few platforms that are turning 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years this month. But a console that turned 4 years this month that we didn't talk about it yet is the Nintendo Switch. So, Nintendo's latest console, current gen console that released in March of 2017 after, the unsuccessful run of the Wii U. So I thought it would be fun to like talk a little bit about the Switch right now. We later can speculate a little bit about the potential Switch Pro as well that we started seeing some more rumors about this week. But let's start with just what's your relationship with the Switch? How do you feel about the Switch turning 4 years? And have you had a good time with the console for the last 4 years? How or some of your favorite games? Whatever you want to talk about the Switch, you have the floor, sir.
I just gotta say that the Nintendo Switch, it's something that I definitely put a lot of hours into. I think it's really relevant. It's awesome that the Switch is successful. I'm glad that there was a Reggie Fils-Aimé interview where Reggie said that the Nintendo Switch was a make or break console for them, and so
Hmm.
just the feeling that it's been 4 years, it just feels like yesterday when the Switch just came out. Like it doesn't even feel like it's been 4 years. And I will say that overall, for like the as a general blanket statement, like I'm very happy with the Switch and like its lifetime and how many games has been ported to the Switch. It's definitely up there as it's definitely got its hat in the ring as one of the best consoles, like best consoles out there, like favorite consoles kind of thing. It's in the conversation. What I will say though, and this is a bit negative, is like I feel like I don't necessarily want to say it's all coronavirus uh, to blame, but
Hmm.
I feel like between year three and year four, we're like in the last calendar year of the last anniversary and now, I feel like the Nintendo Switch has had a lackluster previous 365 days.
Hmm.
Because we didn't really get much directs, obviously, because we were having the Nintendo Direct drought. We were only getting, as far as like a brand new game, was only just the 51 Worldwide Classics and Paper Mario. And that's it. The rest were
Hmm.
ports. It was Pikmin 3 Deluxe. It was Super Mario 3D All Stars. Well, actually, we did get Hyrule Warriors.
So
But yeah.
yeah, I was wondering, are you referring to like first party and because I feel like Hyrule Warriors, I don't know if that would count as a first party game because it might be published by Nintendo, but it's definitely not developed by Nintendo. So there's that too. Um, yeah, dude, let me see. I uh I was a big Nintendo fan. My first console was the Super Nintendo, and I had that when I was a little kid, and that was when the PS1, etc., was already out. But it was really the first console that I got from my family, and I had so much fun with that console. I played the hell out of Super Mario World and so many other games, a lot of random license games at the time, and Mortal Kombat. I was playing when I was way too young for it, and etc. All on the Super Nintendo and having a good time. And later, I kind of fell out of Nintendo. I've talked about it in the podcast before how I never owned a 64 or a GameCube, but I got back in with the Wii, and I really love the Wii. I actually legitimately think the Wii has been one of the best consoles for me. I had so much fun playing, so many of the first party Wii games, and I thought it was legitimately a really fun console, especially for me at that age. I was like, I was in my early teens, really, when I was playing a lot of the Wii. And the Wii U thing comes out, and I was out there day one, Nintendo fan, like, no, I love the Wii. The Wii is great, and this is gonna be the Wii but HD, and with all these new features, this console is gonna be fucking awesome. And I bought the Wii U, like, I never buy consoles day one typically, but I bought it pretty early, and I think the Wii U had kind of like an unfair market reception in a lot of ways, but I also feel like Nintendo fucked up a lot with the Wii U, right? Like they had terrible marketing for it. The naming was bad. It just didn't seem they didn't present the console as something that was cool, that was cool to have. It seemed like this weird hybrid. People couldn't even tell for the longest time whether it was a new console or not. You know, a lot of people thought it was just a new controller. I remember talking to a friend where he was like, "No, I went to a game store and they told me at the game store that it's not a new console, it's a new controller." And that was before the console was actually out. That was after the first E3 presentation or whatever. So there are all these issues, and then the console proceeds to sell, 12 million units over like 4 years, and so many games. It had great games, it had great features. I still think that the Wii U had some really cool, unique features, like the fact that I can use it as a TV remote right now. Still, I couldn't remote after moving, and I was using the Wii U gamepad as the TV remote. So, but the point is that Nintendo had this huge failure, and it wasn't cool to be a Nintendo fan anymore. You were almost like Nintendo was almost looked down on, right? Like, and all the third parties were like, fuck this, we're out. They did support the console for the first year or two. People forget about that, but the Wii U in the first few months had so many third party ports from all sorts of random shit, right? We had Mass Effect on the Wii U. We had Assassin's Creed games. We had Batman Arkham City or whatever. We had like all these random ports from games that were coming out the previous years. So the third party was there. Ubisoft did so much cool shit in the Wii U as well. So this third party support was there, and then they left. All of this is to say that then Nintendo comes out with this new console, the Switch, and I wanted to be excited about it, but there was this skeptical pushback internally all the time because I'm like, damn, but I really like the Wii U, and that was a huge failure. Are they gonna do it now? Are they gonna do it now? And the fact that in basically 1 year of the Switch on the market, they blow past the Wii U's, 4 or 5 years worth of sales. Um, and that they become cool again, that they just nail it on the marketing, that they nail it on the games, that they come, from the get go with two killer apps basically on the first year with Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey. That they to proceed to follow that up with new entries in beloved Nintendo franchises that pretty much each new entry becomes one of the best entries in that franchise once they come out on the Switch, right? That's true for Zelda, that's true for Mario, but it's also true for Luigi's Mansion. It's also true for Fire Emblem. It's also true for Mario Kart, which I know is a port of the Wii U game with added content, but that's also true for Super Smash Brothers, right? So like all these franchises that we love get new games on this new console that is, so cool and presented so well and has such great marketing behind it. And all these games are fucking awesome. And then all the great games that the Wii U had get to have another life and another chance again. And looking at those 4 years, I can't help but be so surprised that Nintendo has been able to not just turn the ship around, but like yank it completely into a different direction, like the completely opposite direction. They were just heading towards constant failure and nothing that they did seemed to work. And then now is just hit after hit. Every game sells millions of units, even if it's not that great. And it's just been such a cool turnaround story. So I know I've been talking for a long time, but that's ultimately my point here is that, as a fan of Nintendo, it's been so good to see that they're cool again. We're cool again. We have the cool console now, and the console that everybody wants to be on, the console that everybody wants to have, right?
I don't know. Like a part of me almost is like very like jaded and stuff because like I I actually would I secretly deep down in my heart I'm a little bitter and
Mhm.
I remember thinking out loud that anybody who owns a Switch that doesn't own a Wii U is a fake ass Nintendo fan bandwagoner. But of course,
Get your gatekeeping bullshit out of here, Lewis.
but yeah, where were you guys for the Wii U generation? Is what I tell myself in my head, of course. Uh, but yeah, like I said, I'm a bitch and I know it. But that's why I
Well,
have.
Lewis, the reality is this. The reality is this that there's 12 million diehard Nintendo fans that are so diehard Nintendo fans that they were able to put up with buying the Wii U, right? I'm one of them, right? And I loved it. I really do. But now the Switch, that's the point. Like, no console can be successful only appealing to its diehard fans of the brand. Now they're appealing to everybody. There's so many people that were probably jaded with Nintendo that are now owning a Nintendo console again, or people that are new that didn't even know what Nintendo was before, because they're 12 years old now, and that are jumping into the Switch because it's popular with everybody. It's popular with all age groups. So I don't know. I just think it's cool to see this turnaround. I agree with you. I wish the Wii U had a better life. There were so many cool ideas with the console. The what did they call it? This is ending up on us just talking about the Wii U more than the Switch, by the way. But the asynchronous multiplayer, right? Like where you could, have one person play on the gamepad and be doing something different, and have everybody else play against them or with them in some different way. Like that was so cool. They did that a lot with Nintendo Land. The TV features of the Wii U were really cool too. The fact that you could navigate through your cable subscription, which nobody has anymore anyway. But I don't know. There's like all these cool ideas that didn't really fully come to fruition with the Wii U, unfortunately. But still, I'm just happy that we're getting to see a strong Nintendo in the industry again now with the Switch. And the Switch is on track to become one of the best selling consoles of all time. I believe it's already officially the 11th best selling console of all time. And that list includes a lot of handhelds as well, right? I mean, the Switch is kind of this hybrid between console and handheld, so I don't know if that counts or not. If you count it as a home console, it'll probably be already, close to top 5 or top 6. It's only behind the Wii as far as Nintendo consoles go. Nintendo home consoles, I mean, and there's a good chance that it will surpass the Wii if it continues to sell over the next few years. But that will also depend on the Switch Pro when/if that comes out, and whether they're going to count the sales together or not, and how that's going to work.
Well, if they did that with the
Do you want to talk about that,
PS4,
Louis? Yeah.
if they did that with the PS4 and the PS4
Yes.
Pro, then they're gonna do it with the Switch and whatever the Switch XL or Pro, whatever they're gonna call it. They're gonna be like, it's the family of systems, like the Nintendo 3DS. It's the Nintendo 3DS family. That being said, though, I just gotta say that I believe these rumors. I'm very hyped and very excited for them. And yeah, it's really interesting that they're going to be sticking with the 720p screen. I was not predicting that because I was gonna assume that they were going to go up to 1080p. I'm also actually kind of happy with the screen size because it's going to be 7 inches. But when you think about this Nintendo Switch and has like this really really big bezel, if you were to go like edge to edge with the screen, you can basically do 7 inches, and on top of that, use the same exact Joy Cons without having to like buy a brand new Joy-Con specifically for like the Switch XL or whatever like that. So if they were to do that, then that's a big win. And
Hmm.
yeah, the DLSS 4K output, I'm feeling it. That's what I was wanting. That's what I predicted, and I would be very disappointed if they did the thing where it's like, oh no, it's not 4K. It's only 4K output for like Netflix and stuff like that. Whenever they put a Netflix app or whatever, and it's just for streaming, because like even the PS4 and Xbox One did that. Like even on the base models, I believe you can just stream in 4K, and that's it. You can't actually game in 4K. So, um, but yeah, it says here on this article that we got pulled up here is that that's gonna be using OLED panels, and if you look at if you know anything about the PlayStation Vita, is that those use OLED panels, and they look very beautiful and crisp, and so yeah, hopefully we'll be getting it this holiday. Because if they're gonna start production in June, I'm assuming that it's gonna be like towards the holiday when it releases. And of course, knowing Nintendo, they probably won't even announce it officially till like September, at the earliest. So
No, I got to ask you something real quick. I've been seeing rumors and leaks in quotes like this come out for the past, 2 years constantly. Every few months, I feel like there's another one of those. What is it about this one that makes you so certain that this one is real?
well, Bloomberg was the one that predicted like the Nintendo Switch Lite back in 2017. It's like, oh yeah, they're gonna make a Lite in
Hmm.
2019. So if this is coming from Bloomberg, and yeah, and honestly, like the fact that we never, I think this might be the first rumor where there's actually like somebody talking about supplies, like actually production and stuff like that. So if we know
Mm.
those kind of like Samsung displays, they don't come cheap. You got to order them in advance and stuff like that. This is going to be one of those situations where, yeah, the writing is on the wall on this one.
Okay. Well, we shall see. I have to say, I was thinking about something kind of random right now, but we're related to this. What is the do you know what's the capacity of the Switch cartridges for their size? Because if they're making 4K games with 4K textures for the Switch,
It's
the
not
size, the app size of those games is going to go up significantly.
it's not 4K textures. That's 1080p, and DLSS is an AI
Mm,
technology that upscales it to 4K to make it look as
okay.
genuine as 4K gets and stuff like that. Like there are some like still images that I've seen with like on PC side that it looks very nice. The text is super sharp, and it uses like good extrapolation methods to like put out a good 4K signal. As far as the actual capacity, the Nintendo Switch cartridges have different sizes that Nintendo charges. For like
Mhm.
8 GB, 16 GB, and stuff like that. I think the maximum capacity I think is 64 gigs, but I could be wrong about that. They charge more for those higher sizes, and that's why third parties opt to order smaller sizes like 8 GB, and then since they're cheaper, and then they produce their cartridges, and then they put like download codes or something like that for the rest of the game. So, or like basically the patch fixes the rest of the game, or because it's like the actual cartridge itself is not content complete, and that's kind of sus
Mm,
for at least preservation standpoints. But yeah.
yeah. If Switch games continue to get bigger, and especially if Switch continues to get, ports of AAA games that were natively made for the PS4 or Xbox One, or even PS5 or Series X, perhaps in the future, that's definitely one of those things that I wonder how they're going to deal with. Because if you have, I think there was a story recently about how the new Call of Duty is over 500 gigs, and with all the patches and expansions and stuff, and if the max Switch cartridge is 64 gigs, what are you even like how can you even pull that off? And what you just said makes sense. Is like you'll probably just have a little part of the game there, if anything, and then have to download the rest anyway.
Yep. They did that with NBA. They did that with
All right,
Doom,
Lewis,
and a bunch of other games. But yeah,
let's
so
move on and talk about the top news of the week. And we're going to start with a really funny one. You had originally threw this in on the extra news segment of the show, because I believe the top news was already kind of packed at that point, but I made sure to have space for it, and I definitely think is a good talking point to even start our news segment here. So this comes from GamesIndustry.biz, is reported by Brandon Sinclair. Sony's controller tech is literally bananas. So basically, they registered a new patent that says that they want to create this product, or that allows players to use household items, household inanimate objects as controllers. And the way that would work is that it uses AR technology to overlay buttons on top of that object. And you can use the object as a controller, probably in a virtual reality setting or something along those lines. Um, Let me see here if I can get some details from this article. It would be desirable if a user could use an inexpensive, simple, and non electronic device as a video game peripheral, the application reads. The present disclosure seeks to address, or at least alleviate, some of the above identified problem. As you might have guessed from the headline, Sony's answer to the problem is bananas. Well, not just bananas. What the application describes is a method that works with any non luminous passive object being held by a user. It could be a mug, a pen, a glass, or, as in the inventor's preferred examples, bananas and oranges. So what do you think about this crazy new patent? Obviously, I think it's important that we start here by saying that companies register these patents all the time and often don't use them. Somebody came up with this idea, and they think, maybe we'll use it for something one day. They go and register the patent so that they can be ahead of it and make money if somebody else wants to use it. Or not have to worry about someone else patenting it first, and having to pay somebody later on if they want to do it. So do you think there's a possibility that this actually gets to be used in any way?
I don't know. I'm kind of 50-50 on this because there is some practicality for that because and we know that technology is possible. AR technology and I overlay stuff that we've had AR technology for like a long time. Even Pokemon Go is like an example. So all that being said, possible, yes. Practical maybe because we know that controllers, they tend to be the cost of a whole game. Even the dual sense is like $70 and stuff like that. Something like a banana is really inexpensive and it's probably stuff that you already have in your house. So
Hmm.
um, yeah, I can see it. I can see it happening. Would I ever do it? Probably not. Accessibility, sure, I guess. But you're right, though. It's more likely just a situation of it's just like patents and just sitting on it, just in case something blows up. That's probably the more likely outcome of this.
They announced that there's going to be a PSVR 2 unit that's being built to work with a PlayStation 5, and that's going to have, I believe, only one cord as opposed to the multiple that the PSVR currently has. They talked about that on the PlayStation State of Play. I thought it was really weird that they announced that, but didn't really show anything or give us many details. By the way, but this could be something that's being thought of in conjunction to PSVR 2. We know that PSVR is supposed to be this less expensive version of VR. So maybe this would even be a feature that they allow for developers if they want to use in their PSVR games. Hey, if you want people to play your game with a different kind of peripheral that's not, the typical dual sense controller or anything else, and then you can use this technology in our API to go in and implement something in your game. So maybe it will be used kind of like in a game by game basis in different ways. Like maybe in this game, maybe it's a golf game where you can use an actual real life, golf bat,
Club.
English English club. There we go. A real like golf club, or something along the line, something with that similar shape. It makes me think about the Wii and how you could buy all these different peripherals for the Wii to put on your Wii mode and turn your Wii mode into different items. Maybe they could allow developers to do something interesting with PSVR 2 where, hey, if you want your game to be played with people's, items or, third party peripherals that maybe you're going to be selling, and etc. This technology is there to allow you to be able to do that.
I
I don't
think
know. Maybe I'm going too far with it though.
we're living in the Iron Man world where he's just like doing all these virtual things and stuff. Like when in Iron Man 1, when he was designing his Iron Man suit and that holodeck table and stuff, and like throwing things and gesturing to like the recycled trash can and stuff like that, or Minority Report, like nah, yeah,
Good shit. Good shit.
good shit.
So we'll see if Sony actually gets to use that patent. We have yet to see whether they use other patents that we talked about last year, including the robot that would emote and sit next to you while you play PlayStation games. I don't know if you remember that one. But let's move on to another story here, also from GamesIndustry.biz. Epic acquires Fall Guys outfit Tonic Games Group. As reported by Brandon Sinclair as well, Epic Games announced this week the acquisition of Tonic Games Group, the parent company of Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout developer Mediatonic. In addition to Mediatonic, Tonic Games Group includes publishing label The Irregular Corporation, which published Murdered by Numbers and PC Building Simulator, and startup studio Fortitude Games. Open quote. It's no secret that Epic is invested in building the metaverse, and Tonic Games shares this goal, said Epic Games founder and CEO Tim Sweeney. As Epic works to build this virtual future, we need great creative talent who know how to build powerful games, content, and experiences. Terms of the deal were not announced. As for what happens with Fall Guys, Epic said it won't be pulling it from any storefronts and will continue to invest in making the game a great experience for players across platforms. So I think this is very interesting. We've talked a lot about Fall Guys in this podcast before. Louis and I both played it around this time it came out. And something that we mentioned is that Fall Guys had, this explosion when it originally came out, and everybody was playing it for a good month-ish. And then people started, falling off. And I'm sure it still has some level of a dedicated player base, but the truth is that there's not. It seems like it didn't. It seemed like it didn't really got to live up to its full potential as a live service game after its original release. Now, what's the polar opposite of that? A game that, maybe did not have an immediate splash when it came out, but proceeded to grow and grow and grow and become the biggest live service game on the planet, Fortnite by Epic Games. My point in saying this here is that I think this may be a great partnership, and it actually may be great for the future of Fall Guys to be under Epic, because I think Epic has the know-how and the resources and the potential to potentially grow Fall Guys into something much bigger. and to bring back that audience. If shall they want to do that, right? Maybe they're going to pursue other projects with them, but that's what I'm thinking. What do you think?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well. Is Fall Guys is gonna finally get that Fortnite money, infused into it, and we're gonna get more integrations and more outfits, more skins and stuff like that. So, um, yeah, sure, bring it on. Every just Fortnite everything. that's that's how I see it. Um, but yeah, that's I don't see. There's not. I guess as long as they see, companies lie all the time. Companies say, "Oh yeah, we're not planning on removing them from storefronts and stuff like that." I can just see a situation where it's like bullshit. This is gonna become an Epic Games Store exclusive and stuff like that. Maybe it won't, because I don't think that's not the case with Rocket League. So at least maybe there's precedent for that to be the case, but who knows?
And Rocket League by Psyonix is also owned by Epic Games, I believe. And
Yep.
that game was originally a game that you paid for and eventually went free to play. And I don't know how going free to play has affected that game's player base. But it's interesting to think that that may happen to Fall Guys as well. I think that's probably going to happen actually now for sure. That it's going to go free to play sometime this year.
Oh
And we
yes.
also have to remember, and it's part of this context as well, that the game is coming out on Switch and Xbox Series X, which are two platforms that it's not available on. I think in June of this year, or later this year. So they're going to be coming out on new platforms with Epic Games money and potentially going free to play in the future. I think the game has a lot of potential to make a splash again and to grow again. And we'll see whether it stays true to the things that they were doing so far, or whether it becomes too much like Fortnite, right? That only time will tell.
Okay. Whenever you get a chance, turn off your camera and turn on your camera. Let's see if that
All right,
fixes
I'll
it.
do it right now.
Still nothing.
What, have I been frozen for a while or something?
I never got your camera feed the entire time, but I was hoping that it would come, but
Oh, really?
yeah, really,
Okay. Well,
so
can you see it or not at all?
not at all.
Oh, okay. Because I wanted to differentiate whether you were not getting my feed on Discord or you were getting my feed on Discord but not on the OBS.
No, I never
Let
got it
me
on Discord.
disconnect and then we'll call again.
Okay. Technical issues. Just gotta say, um, I'm sure this is all gonna be cut out in the MP3. So, oh my god, you're gonna have a
How's it
fun
going
time.
now?
You're gonna have a fun time editing. Still don't have your video feed, by the way, on Discord. You can see me, I'm guessing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can. I can see you and I can see myself too.
Interesting. Interesting.
Hmm.
Here, I'll hang up and then join the call. Let's see what happens.
Okay.
Hey, oh, look at that. All I had to do was me. Just all I had to do was hang up. All right. There we go.
Well, this is something that we might want to think about for future recordings, whether is a Discord problem or what. Like, I definitely think that we should consider using potentially a different software, especially with the very long delay.
Yeah.
Um, cool. Let's move on over here to our next news story. This is not really news anymore because I think it happened right after you recorded the last episode, Lewis. So I'm bringing it up, but it's kind of old by now. We had a new Pokemon Presents presentation. This happened shortly after the Nintendo Direct and the State of Play, and we got some new announcements. We got a new open world Pokemon game called Pokemon Legends Arceus. I always said Arceus before, but apparently it's called Arceus, which was announced for early 2022. And we also learned that there's going to be a remake of Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. They're called Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and those are coming out later this year. And we also got a new trailer for Pokemon Snap that's coming out on the Switch
Oh, snap.
in April 30th. April 30th. And then on top of that, we also got, the Post Malone concert happened. That was, to celebrate the 25 years of Pokemon. And there was also an album that was announced, Pokemon 25, the album, featuring Katy Perry, Post Malone, J Balvin, and more. Never thought I would say a sentence like that, but it is real nonetheless. So yeah, did you watch it? What do you think? Are you excited?
So I've been seeing a lot of like hubbub about like the art style, what they chose for like for Diamond and Pearl. Basically, it I and you know I kind of give them credit for that as well because whenever they did like the remakes for like Red and Blue, they called it Fire Red and Leaf Green. They were using the Game Boy Advance engine for like Ruby and Sapphire. And then whenever they did the remakes for Heart Gold and Soul Silver, they were using like the DS engine and stuff like that they did for like, these Sinnoh games. And then whenever they did the remakes for Ruby and Sapphire on the 3DS, like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, they were full on using the 3DS engine from like X and Y, same art style and everything. They were just fully recreating it. And so my envisioning for Diamond and Pearl remakes was for it to look like it's I can't. My my envision for the Diamond and Pearl remakes was actually going to be looking like Sword and Shield. And so the fact that they decided not to do that and just make it look like a 2D vertical like side scroller, kind of like 2.5D, it just kind of feels really weird. And I can see why the internet is on a tizzy about that. And me personally, I don't really much care. I'll do whatever my corporate overlord tells me to do. So yeah, I don't know.
I thought it looked great. I see people being critical of the art style as well, and I mean to each their own, right? But I kind of look at it almost like the hate towards Wind Waker when that originally came out, and people were like, not Wind Waker HD, the original Wind Waker, where people were really mad about it having that more like cartoony art style, and they wanted the more like um
The Twilight
they
Princess
wanted like this more
realistic.
mature
Yeah,
evolution of Zelda.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But then in hindsight, some years go by and people look back and it's like, no, that game looked great. So I feel like that's a similar kind of situation where I feel like people are just like, I don't know, they're not ready for it to be different and trying to do something unique. But I think that the game's gonna stand on its own more because it has like a cool, unique, different art style as opposed to just kind of copying, what the other Pokemon games look like right now. So I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I thought it looked cool. The reality though is that the big new Pokemon release is the Pokemon Legends game, right? Like that seems like, and there's a few interesting things about this. I think it's interesting that they called it Pokemon Legends Arceus because that means that they're spinning off a new franchise potentially, right? That we're going to see Pokemon Legends calling Mewtwo or whatever later on. That there's going to be more games within this sub franchise potentially. And a lot of people described it as a Pokemon Breath of the Wild, which I know has also been criticized and made fun of because it's like, oh, anything that has a large plane now looks like Breath of the Wild. But I think that's almost like underselling how much it does kind of look like Breath of the Wild. Like the art style, the color scheme, it's very similar.
The panning wide shots and stuff like over the hill and stuff like that. Yeah, even the same.
Yeah.
Even you could like literally put them side by side and it's the same like swooping like field shot. There's three things I want to say. Number one, the Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl were not developed by Game Freak. So the reason why is
Mm.
because they're doing Pokemon Legends. So that's probably the reason why they're not doing the full-on Sword and Shield art style. Number two is yes, like I wanted this is Pokemon Legends should have been the very first Pokemon game on the Switch
Hmm.
before Sword and Shield, before Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. They should have Breath of the Wild this like right off the bat. Because like if we're
Hmm.
talking about like the what you said earlier about how like it's the best game in the franchise and stuff like that, you said about like Zelda, you said that
Hmm.
about Mario and like all these like everyone's getting like their best entries in their
Yeah.
franchise and stuff like
Animal
that.
Crossing, Luigi's
And
Mansion,
yeah,
etc.
but you left off Pokemon off that list. All right,
Yeah.
and I will say that with Pokemon, if Pokemon Legends is what like if it lives up to that hype, then we're finally gonna be able to add that to the list and stuff like that. And in my
Hmm.
opinion, Pokemon Legends should have been like what we got right off the bat. And I was like, and I kind of begrudge Game Freak for not going balls to the wall from the jump. And the third thing I wanted to say is it's really a little disappointing that we're seeing like this footage. I know it's a year out, at least is what they said, because it's supposed to be early 2022. But the footage looks like it's like pre-alpha because the frame rate was like dipping
Yes.
even in their own video feed and stuff like. And I watched like not the YouTube like stream. I watched the actual trailer, and they were
Hmm.
very jittery like frames and stuff like that. The animations were terrible. Like they were running at like 3 frames a second, like they're like the way they're like flapping their wings and stuff like that. It was very jarring, and it's really weird to see like a AAA Nintendo developed game to look like it's I don't know, made on a shoestring budget is what it looked like. And Pokemon Company is like $1 billion plus company, so it's really weird. So yeah.
Yeah, I kind of want to talk about that too because, as a game developer, I can say number one that, many games run at terrible frame rates up until they release, right? It's like while you're developing, there's so many things that you do that are not necessarily optimal because you're trying to get things done, you're trying to iterate on features and etc. And performance may be a concern from the beginning, but it becomes I guess the priority of performance as a concern increases throughout development. And it's really when you're a year out or 6 months out that, people are going hands on deck with performance. Let's get this guy to run as well as we can. And let's try to find all the optimizations that we can do and etc. Because at that point, you shouldn't, at least you're not or should not be as focused on creating new features, iterating on new features, designing new stuff or whatever. And it's more about, all right, let's polish up what we have. And that's where performance efforts really come in, and you can transition a lot of programmers to focus on that. So it's understandable that a game in its alpha stage will not be performant. That does not necessarily mean that the final product will not be what performant. However, and here's a very important but, when you make a trailer for your game, you don't just grab random footage of the developers playing the game. You create, these vertical slices for the trailer, or you polish up, you grab a part of the game and you polish that up a lot so that you can include it in the trailer before you polish up everything else. And there's a process to creating a trailer, right? Like you try to get the best moments, you run it on better hardware a lot of times, right? So you could potentially be running the game on PC when you're getting the footage from the trailer as opposed to running it on the actual kit. So it's that the trailer itself is this bad, right? Like, even though I guarantee you the game is not running well right now, like I guarantee you every game that's coming out a year from now is not running most likely. The fact that that they weren't able to make it look good for the trailer,
Hmm.
um, when it's so important that a trailer looks good, is where the concern comes in, where it's like, oh man, if this is how bad, basically my point is like, if this is how bad it looks in the trailer, how bad does it is it really? Like how bad is it? When they're actually playing the game behind their desks right now, right? So
Hmm.
so it is a concern. It is a concern, and I hope they can get it to run at a decent frame rate by the time it comes out. And it might be one of those things. It might be one of those things where it justifies the Switch Pro because maybe you'll run at a subpar, inconsistent frame rate under 30 on the regular Switch, and maybe if you want to run at like a steady 30 or maybe even 40 or 60 or whatever, then maybe you're gonna need the Switch Pro.
Yeah, or if you want, the land to be populated with Pokemon, you need that Switch Pro because that air, the wild area stuff was just very desolate and empty. Like there was not a whole lot going on and stuff. So,
Mm.
uh, but yeah, like it's like kind of like when Cyberpunk is on console and stuff, and there's like 3 or 4 pedestrians, but when it's on PC, you got like this more people and stuff. Uh, but yeah, it's an interesting take, and I have my eye on this game, and I just want to say that fingers crossed. I really want this game to shine because like this is
Mhm.
kind of like, oh, there's 2 Pokemon games that I want: Pokemon Breath of the Wild and MMO Pokemon. I want to.
Mhm.
I want an MMO Pokemon where I can go to every region, like from like Kanto to Johto
Mhm.
and like Hoenn, like Sinnoh, everything, just all of them. And hopefully they stick the landing.
I remember being in eighth grade in 2006, and my friends, hoping for a Pokemon MMO. So it's been a long time, and we still haven't seen it come eventually.
Hopefully, if a Pokemon MMO happens, like I was like a running joke that like the world economy would crash because everyone would stop working just to play Pokemon MMO. But yeah,
All right, so let's move on over here. I'm probably not going to spend too much time on these final news stories, but we got the BAFTA nominations were announced, and we haven't really been covering nominations for a lot of these award shows that have been happening this year. We also had the Dice nominations, I think, a few weeks or maybe months back. I don't think that event has happened yet either. But in summary, Naughty Dog's The Last of Us has led the group with 13 nominations. Both Remedy's Control and Kojima Productions' Death Stranding were nominated for 11 each at last year's BAFTA. So 13 awards, 13 nominations. That's a new record. Let's see what else. Sucker Punch Ghost of Tsushima received 10 nominations. Insomniac's Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales got 7. Media Molecules Dreams got 7. And Sumo Digital Sackboy A Big Adventure got 4. That is all to show that Sony is basically dominating on this particular award show. The nominees for the most prestigious award, Best Game, are Animal Crossing New Horizons, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Half-Life Alyx, Spider-Man Miles Morales, and The Last of Us Part 2. So interesting shift or difference between this and the Game Awards is that this didn't have Doom Eternal as one of the nominees, but it instead had Half-Life Alyx and Miles Morales.
Wait, wasn't Miles Morales nominated for Big Game of the Year last year for Game Awards?
I don't think so. No, I think because it was almost not eligible because of when it
Hmm.
came out. Because it came out towards the end of the year and the Game Awards was in December 12th. Um, so yeah, no, I think Miles Morales got like one nomination in the action adventure category.
And the actor
Um,
category as well.
yes, yes, yes.
That's it. But yeah,
Do you
so
have anything to add to this, Louis?
I'm just gonna say, everyone, it's no secret like what my thoughts are on The Last of Us, and I would I would be honestly surprised if it didn't win Game of the Year, much to my chagrin. So yeah.
All right, we shall see. I think I agree with you. But I'm happy that Miles Morales got a shout out there, and happy that Half-Life Alex got a shout out there as well.
Okay.
Now, this one comes from PushSquare. PlayStation Store discontinues movie, TV rentals, and purchases in August. Over on the PlayStation blog, Sony has announced they will be discontinuing movie and TV rentals and purchases on the PlayStation Store from August 31st, 2021. You will still be able to access the content you've purchased beyond that date on a PS5 console, PS4, and smartphones, but the media in question will no longer be a part of the hardware manufacturer's digital offerings come September. So I think this is kind of interesting because even though I never consumed any of that content, I always thought it was interesting that it was there, right? That it was something that you could buy, like straight up, you could buy a movie through PlayStation and watch it that way. And I think there's kind of this interesting trend with Sony and the PS5 generation as opposed to the PS4 or PS3 generation, that it seems like they kind of want to streamline. They want to, you know, cut down on services that maybe not enough people are using, and they want to keep things more simple. They want to trim the fat, really. Um, do you think that's a good call? Did you use this at all? Do you care?
I don't really care. I'm actually I'm surprised. I mean, like, okay, I'm surprised that they are doing it. I'm also not surprised. I'm surprised in the sense that it feels like a feature that makes sense because it's an ecosystem. It's like the iTunes App Store kind of thing where you can buy apps and songs and movies and books and all in one
Hmm.
place. And it kind of felt like that's what they were going for, is that, you know, content. So I'm surprised in that sense that, like, you want, an ecosystem. Not surprised because I don't know anyone that used it, to tell you the truth. So it makes sense to cut it. I
Right.
don't think this is really like no love lost kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, I've never once, not even for sales, did I ever buy a movie or rent a movie through the PlayStation Store, and it makes sense because the streaming apps have like prevailed from like Netflix and Prime and all these other services, that you really don't have much need to buy content and stuff when you can just stream it. So yeah.
Yeah, agreed. And final story of the week here. This also got covered on the Ready Press Play TikTok. If you don't follow that yet, please go and follow us at Ready Press Play on TikTok over there. We just reached 500 followers recently. So we're growing quite a bit there. It's pretty cool. Snoop Dogg streamed Madden, rage quit after 15 minutes, and left his stream running for 7 hours. It's just a funny one, just a fun one to end the segment here. Legendary rapper and entrepreneur Snoop Dogg had an interesting time streaming Madden on Twitch over the weekend. After roughly 15 minutes of airtime, he quit out of a frustrating game of Madden 21, walked out of the room, and let the stream on for several hours. As noted by PC Gamer, the rapper switched his Xbox off after the opposing team scored a touchdown and walked away clearly irritated. We've all been there. You can see it all go down below as Snoop heads out without switching off his stream. Due to the use of licensed music, a lot of the VOD is muted, but those who were there live could enjoy the lovely view of Snoop's game room as funky tunes like Lovely One by the Jacksons blared through the speakers. After 7 hours and 37 minutes of vibes, Snoop came through in a sparky hoodie, switching the stream off for good before walking away. The VOD has been viewed by 250,000 people as of Friday.
Wow. There's really not a whole much to say other than everyone can relate to that. So it's nice that even like big name celebrities can rage quit as a over a game. I've had my fair share
I wonder if
of smashes where like fuck this game. But yeah.
I wonder if he forgot that he was streaming. Because why would he leave and then come back 7 hours later after just leaving the stream running? I think he must have just forgot it was on or something, and then he was like, "Oh shit, I gotta go turn that off." Um, After I don't know doing whatever the fuck in the other room, just a funny one. Let's go through our extra news here to wrap us up. Co-op shooter Aliens Fireteam has been announced for PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, and it arrives this summer. Doom 3 VR Edition was announced for PlayStation VR. The Wii U firmware has been updated to version 5.5.5 U, so we got a new firmware update for the Wii U. I don't even know what it does. It's just it
It's
says that it's just a
stability.
general,
Stability.
yeah.
That's what they say on the outside, but it really translates to "fuck all you modders" is what it really means. It's just patching up like hacks, like so modders can't
Mhm.
like install their homebrew software and stuff like that. That's all it is. That's what they do.
Nintendo reiterates that certain Mario products will be withdrawn from sale at the end of March. So, if you want to still want to buy one of those Mario 35th anniversary celebratory products, or if you still want to play Mario 35 on your Switch and etc., you only have until the end of this month. The Harry Potter video game will be allowing transgender characters. There will be character options when you're creating your character to, support transgender characters. Which this is relevant because of the J.K. Rowling situation and controversy surrounding that game, or just in general. EA delays Need for Speed and puts Criterion to help with Battlefield 6. Orlando Super Nintendo World has been delayed until 2025. Sakurai presents announcement Pyramid, or no, it's not supposed to be Pyramid. Sorry, Pythra.
Pyra,
Is it Pythra?
Pyra and
Pyra.
Mithra. Yeah.
Yes, they're now available alongside Capcom Me costumes from Monster Hunter and Ghosts and Goblins. Nintendo has ended supporting 3DS repairs in Japan, showing that the handheld is probably on its lifeline. Microsoft has unveiled some new AR technology called Microsoft Mesh. And Marvel's Avengers is slowing down XP gains in its next gen update to make it more grindy in the hopes that people are going to want to play it more.
how do we make people
Lewis.
how do we make people engage more? Just make them play it some more and then call it a day. Oh my god. Like this is so backwards and it's so weird that a developer is like going out and like publicly like telling its player base, hurry up and level up, before we ruin it. The Nintendo 3DS repairs, they said that they're not doing the repairs anymore because they can't continue to get components for repairs anymore, and so they're only
Mhm.
ceasing repairs on the regular basic Nintendo 3DS, like the regular 3DS and 3DS XL.
Mm.
They're not stopping repairs on like the new 3DSs or the 2DSs or anything like that. So, um, I mean, hey, we just talked about just even earlier in the show how it's like it just hit its 10-year anniversary. So it just sucks that we're it's gonna other territories will follow suit and slowly but surely all the 3DS repairs will go by the wayside. So yeah, don't really have much else to say other than that though. I don't I don't I don't homebrew or mod my Wii U or anything like that, so it doesn't really affect me to update my Wii U. But I know a lot of people like to do that with the Wii U, especially for like Smash 4 for the Wii U. I tried to mod it once just because like I wanted a cool Smash 4 mod, but I couldn't. I didn't know how to work my way around it, so I just like, screw it. So
All right, sounds good. Let's head on to check this out then. It's cool that people can now see us jamming to the sound effects
I know,
or
right?
while listening to the show or watching
Hey, look, we're
the
actually, if you're
show.
watching the YouTube video, you're
So
literally
this is
checking
just
this
a
out.
yeah, that's true. Um, so I found this on Twitter. It was being shared by some people that I followed, and I thought this was pretty cool. So there's this one guy, this one artist on Twitter who has been drawing every Super Smash Brothers Ultimate character in the style of Cuphead. That is the old school, 1930s cartoon style, and he's been doing every single one of them. He's done plenty already, and I think is still working on them. And they're just really cool, and it's just a very nice match.
Oh no, I lost Dan again. Whew. Close call. Got you back.
All right. Well, I just talked about the thing, so I don't want to do it again.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I have it on the video format, as you see. I have right over here just the all the renders and stuff. I'm scrolling through them. They're so dope and they're so awesome. Like
Mhm.
I just gotta give a shout out to the Toon Link one. That one just it just Toon Link is already because he's already a toon. He's a cartoon, so he fits the mold, and it really is so awesome to see these characters stylized in like a 1930s like Mickey Mouse aesthetic. And it is kind of funny how even like the article points out that Cuphead is indeed in Smash Ultimate as a Mii costume. So there you
Mhm.
go.
Yeah, he's even going all out as well with characters that have alternate costumes, right? So for instance, he didn't just draw Bowser Jr., he drew all of the different Koopalings. And I think with characters that have like, the different gender option as well, he's drawing both of them and stuff. So it's being, like so he's got like, the male villager and the female villager and etc. So it's cool. It's cool that he's going all out with this. Obviously, we should give a shout out. This is Daniel Cortez at Danny Cartoons on Twitter. That is DANNYCORTOONS. Yeah.
There we go.
And on that note, Lewis, it's time for you to take over the show.
All right.
What are you buying?
All right. So for new releases, we don't have a whole lot going on here, but here we go. Number one, the first things up is 2 Point Hospital Jumbo Edition out on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch out on March 5th. On March 9th, we got Apex Legends finally getting ported to the Nintendo Switch. Conquer, with characters in Apex Legends, a free to play battle royale shooter where legendary characters with powerful abilities team up to battle for fame and fortune on the fringes of the frontier. Master an ever growing roster of diverse legends, deep tactical squad play, and bold new innovations that level up the battle royale experience, all within a rugged world where anything goes. Welcome to the next evolution of the battle royale. Of course, Fortnite just aped all their shit within a week. So, but yeah. Next up is Gensu Skydrift on PlayStation 4 on March 9th, and lastly, Monster Energy Supercross, the official video game for. Wow, that's a mouthful. Play.
There were three other ones. Okay.
I have one of them because one of them was a PlayStation Plus game on the PS4. So, and I have like
Oh, really?
it
Yeah, I
literally
probably
has
have it
like
too then.
my you know how like they got the tiles and stuff. Like I literally have a
Mhm.
Monster Energy like branding as like the game art, and it's really weird. When I redeemed it, it's like my PlayStation 4 was sponsored by Monster Energy. It comes out on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Stadia, and PC on March 11th. So clearly, the pick of the week has got to be Apex Legends because it's obviously number one, it's free to play, and number two, it's Apex. But it's also on the flip side. I've been hearing a lot of people talking about how it looks like trash and looks like garbage. It doesn't run well on the Switch. So what do you think about that?
I'm not going to comment on that one because I haven't seen it, so I can't really comment on it. And two, because it's an EA game. And disclaimer: I'm an EA employee. Blah blah yada yada yada. So
Fair enough.
I'll leave it at that. But it's hard to get things to run on the Switch sometimes when they're especially when they're built for PS4 and Xbox One, etc. So
Hopefully, the Switch Pro will take care of that.
yeah,
Got a
we'll see.
selection of good things on sale, stranger.
Okay, so for the Broke Gamers Guide, the free games for Epic Game Store, we have. Let's see here. Here we go. War Game Red Dragon is going to be free for the week, and let's read the little blurb on this one. It says here the new reference in real time strategy at its best. The War Game series returns to duty, larger, richer, and more spectacular than ever before. In Wargame Red Dragon, you are engaged in a large scale conflict where Western forces clash against the communist bloc. Okay, that's. I'm not gonna. I don't know about this game. It looks like they're trying to go for a realistic looking art style and stuff, but like I've never. I'm for number one.
It looks
I don't do RTS, but yeah, it looks good. It looks dope, I guess.
Yeah, like I love the lighting on some of these screenshots. It's like it looks really good. It makes you think of Civilization a little bit, but it's Civilization is slightly different type of game. But cool.
Yeah, and next week is a free game allegedly is going to be Surviving Mars. So that's cool. Next up is going to be the we covered this last week because it was on last week's show, but the games with gold, we talked about how it was kind of a little lackluster and stuff, and like and basically the biggest game is like a Metal Slug 3 for the Xbox 360. But yeah, that's like there were the let's see, what was the Xbox One titles? It was Warface Breakout and Vicious Attack Llama Apocalypse. And then, of course, I said Metal Slug 3 and Port Royale 3. Those are going to be your free games for March if you want to redeem them. And then, completely opposite of that, just
Let
from
me
one end
really
of the.
quick, Louis.
Go ahead.
I want to pitch you on something in regards to games with gold. I said this on Twitter. I think it was in a response to a tweet by Fame, where I feel like Microsoft needs to get rid of games with gold. Now, I understand that there's an audience out there that likes or Xbox Live Gold as a service. And what I really want is that I think they should rebrand it. I'll get to it in a moment. So I understand that there's an audience out there that does not want to pay the $10 a month or $15 a month for Game Pass Ultimate, and that prefers to have the cheaper $60 a year service just to play games online, right? However, right now, playing games online, if they're free games, which the biggest online games right now are free games, right? Fortnite, Apex Legends, etc. They you don't need Xbox Live Gold for that anymore, right? So then it already makes it less useful of a service. The games with gold have been terrible for a while now. They're just not. There's just not that much value there. I doubt that there's anybody that's really looking forward to these games every month and happy that they're getting them. So what I think they need to do instead is that they need to cut it out and add an extra cheaper tier to Game Pass, so that you only have one service being Game Pass, but it has multiple tiers. Game Pass already has multiple tiers. You have Ultimate, which is $15 a month. It includes EA Play, it includes games on all platforms, and etc. Then you got, I think, regular Game Pass is $10 a month, and you can get it for either for just for Xbox or just for PC. What I suggest is that they just add a cheaper tier. They add a $5 a month tier. It includes the basic gold stuff where you can play online and etc. And rather than having this weird free games that you get every month that are usually crappy, what if instead you have access to a selection of Game Pass titles that you just if you subscribe to this tier, you just have full access to them. But rather than having access to all games, it's like these are the 20 games that you get access, and that's it. So if you're currently a gold subscriber, you can instead subscribe to this, let's call it Game Pass Lite, where you get access to these 20 games, for as long as you're subscribed, and you get to play online, and that's it. And that way, you're bringing people into the Game Pass ecosystem already. They can upgrade from there. What do you think?
I'm not sure about that. I'm more concerned about the 400 plus games that I've built up over the years for the games with gold. Like, I
Mm,
want to know what their solution is to it. Like, I want, if you're gonna discontinue and get rid of like gold and just restructure everything, I would only be happy with it if you were to redeem every games with gold that I ever redeemed and give it to me on my account. Like straight up, like full
right,
stop. Like it's now mine. Like as in like
right,
whenever with games with gold, if I cease paying for it, they're disabled and they're not mine to
right,
own. They're only mine as long as I'm paying for gold. So there, I want a situation. I want to see a situation where it's like, and now they're redeemed. You know, like
right.
no more like gatekeeping, like you need to check for gold kind of thing. So yeah,
Yeah, I think they could do that though, because I feel like it's like when they got these licenses from these developers to give the games free for games with gold, I can't see it being a thing where it's like, they're getting a temporary license because otherwise you would lose the game at some point anyway. So they're getting a lifetime license to the game already anyway. They're agreeing with the developer, hey, we have, these many subscribers. We want to get, your game to give to them for free indefinitely for as long as they subscribe. It's not like they're paying the developer indefinitely, I would assume. They pay them once, get the license, the let's call it the right to distribute the game to these X million subscribers, distribute it to everybody, and then the reason why you don't redeem them is only so that it motivates you to continue to subscribe. So yeah, I think it would make sense for them to do that. It's like, hey, we're getting rid of games with gold. All the games that you had on games with gold, they're now yours, and we're transitioning you over to this Game Pass Lite subscription. If you want to go up on Game Pass, then that's up to you. I just think that would make it so much easier on their administration side to not have to be finding these games with gold games when they really should instead be focusing on Game Pass.
yeah,
That's just me. All
okay.
right.
All right. Well, to transition from Xbox to PlayStation, I was saying like we got the low lows from Xbox, and now we're going to the high highs for PlayStation because Final Fantasy VII Remake is like the headliner for PlayStation Plus in March. So dope. I just got to say that.
The game is not even a year old, by the way.
I know it came out in April. That's crazy.
Hmm.
I almost kind of poo-poo the fact that I bought it for $30 when it was on sale. But anyways,
Well, what can you do, right?
I know, right? So PlayStation Plus subscribers will get access to 4 games in March, including Final Fantasy VII Remake. It starts on March 2nd, so that's already right now. So we got the other games as Maquette, Remnant from the Ashes, and Farpoint. Now, Farpoint, I have that game on VR, and Farpoint is awesome as hell. I have like the gun accessory. It's not very many games use that gun accessory, but Farpoint, when I bought it for physically, it actually like came bundled with it, and it was dope AF. And yeah, apparently, should I know anything about Maquette? It says it's Annapurna Interactive, and I know who they are.
Yeah, I've been hearing about it. I think it's a good game. So that's all I'm gonna throw out there. It seems like it's a good new indie game.
I just want to say, am I wrong to be calling bullshit that you can't get Final Fantasy VII on PS Plus and then get the upgrade for free on PlayStation 5? Is it weird?
Oh, really?
Yeah, apparently
Well,
it's not like one of those like what do you call it? Xbox
smart
smart
delivery.
delivery.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a smart delivery situation and stuff like that. I think they're gonna cut it out from eligibility, from my understanding. I thought that's what I heard or
Mm.
something like that. So didn't really look into it, but that would suck if that were the case. It says here on Thursday, Square Enix announced an upgraded version of Final Fantasy VII Remake known as Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, optimized for PlayStation 5. The upgrade will be free for PS4 owners of the game, but only for those who have purchased it. In other words, PlayStation Plus subscribers who download the PS4 game for next month won't be eligible to get Intergrade as a free PS5 upgrade.
Okay, so I
Wow.
actually personally I actually think that kind of makes sense. But the thing that I find the most, because like it's like you're getting it for free already, shut up. Like don't, but and like it's actually a good thing for you because for you as somebody that actually just paid for the game and
Yeah.
you're just saying, oh, I just paid for the game and now it's free. Well, at least you paid and you got the upgrade for the PS5.
How do they
Now the
differentiate
thing that
though
I
is
think
what
is
I
the
want to
most
know.
interesting.
But yeah.
Yes. That's what I was gonna get to. That means that this PlayStation Plus game that they're giving away must be a different SKU of the game behind the scenes, where it must be some kind of like PS4 only Final Fantasy VII remake versus the regular Final Fantasy VII remake that you bought before moving include a PS5 upgrade. I don't know. Or when you do try to download the PS5 upgrade in the future, then it can check whether you actually own that game or if you only sort of temporarily own it through PlayStation Plus, going based off of the thing that we were talking about with Xbox Live Gold as well.
Hmm.
I also think that this upgrade, this next gen upgrade, is a little bit more unique than some of the other ones, as in I think they're adding extra content to it.
Yes, the
I think
Intergrade
it's
has
not
like
just
Intergrade has like a chapter with a new character that wasn't supposed to be, or like shows
yes.
up later on and stuff like that. It's a bit of a stopgap because I'm assuming they're making the second game, and also because of
Mhm.
the upgrade to the PS5, you know, your save is going to carry over and stuff like that. So obviously they're going to probably want to have a situation where you want most players to be playing on PS5, so that way you can carry your save and your progress and your levels and stuff over to the sequel. I'm assuming like a Mass Effect to Mass Effect 2 kind of situation. So you
Yeah,
kind
fair
of
enough.
want to be in the same generation. All right. The next thing up is the Play at Home initiative. This is something they did last year, that Sony did last year, and they've kind of haven't like been doing it since. But they're doing the Play at Home thing again, and you're for the rest of the month, for all of March, I think till like March 31st, if I'm not mistaken. It probably says so here on this article. Yes, until free until March 31st, you can get Ratchet and Clank, the 2016 game based on the movie, based on the game. Yes. So yeah, that's awesome. I actually own the physical copy of the game from way back in the day. I think I even redeemed it on PlayStation Plus when it was a free game. So this is it's awesome for those who don't already have this game, and
And
yeah,
this is free for any PlayStation player, by the way. It's not
yeah,
just people that have PlayStation Plus. So even if you
yes.
don't have PlayStation Plus, go ahead and redeem it.
If you're new to the PlayStation ecosystem because of PS5, or you just didn't have a PlayStation 4 back in 2016, you can just go to the store and just redeem it to your account free of charge. So that's awesome. Next up is Dan, you found a deal for PlayStation Plus subscriptions for just $27 for a full year. So that's awesome because it's like $60 normally for a whole year, and also there was that rumors whenever like games with gold was gonna go up to like $120, and they almost pulled the trigger on it and then it backpedaled, and then all of a sudden people were wondering like what's gonna happen with PS Plus? Are they gonna do the same thing? And then there's like rumors like, oh my god, it's gonna go up to $70 a year. So you can stack up. I think what you can do up to 3 years. I want to say you can like just buy them, stack them, let your
Mhm.
let your expiration hit 2024, and just kick the bucket. So you can't really lose with this deal.
Yeah. This is on cdkeys.com, by the way.
Yep. And lastly, you put a Games Pass article here. It says Xbox Game Pass aims for sports fans with NBA 2K21, Madden NFL 21, NHL 21, and more. So these games are coming to Games Pass. Wow, that's interesting.
Yep.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a
So
good lineup.
Madden NFL 21 has already arrived as part of EA Play for Game Pass Ultimate subscribers. Football Manager 2021 also is out. Um, and as well as NBA 2K21. Yeah, as of right now, all of those games should, and when you're listening to this, all of those games should be available on Game Pass already.
I thought Star Wars Squadron was already a Game Pass game already, but
Jedi Fallen Order was, but not Squadrons, I believe. Squadrons is pretty new, actually. That game is,
it just
I
came
think,
out this
5
past
months old now. Yeah.
it came out this past October. Um,
Yes.
so yeah, that's good. That's good. And I think that's it for the deals. So yeah, I think do we want to end it here or should we keep going?
No, no. Let's wrap it up.
All right.
It is time to end. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Ready Press Play. Remember, you can reach the podcast at ReadyPlayNetwork.com or simply at Ready Press Play on Twitter or TikTok. Remember, you can now watch us on YouTube every Saturday morning on the Level 1 Gaming channel. If you watched us on YouTube today, thank you so much for doing that. And I hope I hope it wasn't too bad. I know we had some technical issues, so we'll see how many of that actually ends up in the final video. I think they will all
Yeah, I don't think I'm
they
gonna edit
all
this.
will
I'm not
end
gonna
up in the
edit
final video.
this. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you listen on the podcast feed, though, the chances are you got a more polished up audio version there. But thank you so much for coming in and showing up and watching it, and stick along for the ride because hopefully it's gonna get better from now on as far as the video side goes. Anyway, I'm on Twitter at @DeDanLima if you want to give me a follow. And Lewis,
At Chakalaka88.
that's right. Don't forget to subscribe, give us a review, tell your friends about the show, and all that good stuff. Why were you pointing up, Lewis? Because you plan on adding like the little like link there or
We have
something, or
our Twitter links are above our heads.
oh yes, that's right. I forgot about that. All
And
right, so yeah, there
Ready
we go.
Press
The
Play
Dan Lima.
is right there. Yeah, so yeah, yeah. I guess you can't.
Nice.
You forget how the layout looks like because you can't see it. Like you can't see my OBS.
Yes. Yeah.
uh,
Exactly. Exactly. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe, give us a review, tell your friends about the show, and all that good stuff. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Peace.